All right, welcome shoppers. This is PS01, how to create a digital collage. In this project, you're going to learn how to do a number of things. We're going to basically create a collage, which is a collection of pictures about the same thing. So you're going to choose a subject, and that subject will be the main topic of your collage, and you're going to find 10 images to put onto one canvas and have those 10 images about that single subject. So you can choose whatever type of subject you would like, as long as it is school appropriate, and you can create a fun little collage. So let's get right into how to do this. Let's check out the details of the project. The details of the project are seen here. You can see that we have, it's a 50-point project. Your goal is to create a collage out of at least 10 different pictures. The collage should be something specific and meaningful to you. We're going to do a few things. We're going to save. We're going to set up a Photoshop canvas. You're going to move the images to the canvas. You're going to transform those images. You're going to have at least one of the images rotated. You're going to add some text to the top of the canvas. And lastly, you'll save the project. Let's see how we can start from the top. We're going to find and save some images. So let's go to just Google Chrome here. And as I'm thinking of a topic, I'm just going to start with Invader Zim as the topic here. I'm going to go to images, and you should see all these various images here. I'm going to grab one of these images like you see right here. Once you click on the image, it should show up as a larger image over on the side. You can simply right click on that and go to copy image. When you copy image, it's just going to save it to your clipboard, and you could paste from there onto Photoshop. So I'm just going to click on copy image. It is now on my clipboard, which is basically like your computer's short-term memory. And now I can go into Photoshop. So we're going to open up Photoshop first by clicking down here where it says type here to search, and type in PHO, and you should see photos and Photoshop here. If you don't see Photoshop, it might also be just in your start menu. If you search in your start menu, you should be able to scroll down and find Adobe Photoshop. So here it is right here. It may also be docked onto your sidebar. So here it is docked on this particular sidebar. We're going to open that up, and Photoshop will open up, and it'll show you all the previous projects that you've created. For now, don't worry about it. If it's not showing anything here, you can just create new. So you want to click up here where it says create new. From here, a dialog box is going to pop up, and you get to choose the size of your document. So we're going to go up to print here. Actually, I'm sorry. We're going to go to photo. And from photo, it is print. Under print, you're going to see the letter size document. This is basically a regular piece of printer paper. So we're going to choose that as our size right here. Right here, we can have the name of our document. We're going to call it PS01 Digital Collage. There we go. Now you can choose right here where it says orientation. You can choose to have your piece of paper vertical or sideways. So this is how you can choose which way you would like it to be shown. If you're making a wallpaper for your desktop on your computer, you might want it to be this way. If you want to print it out and you want it to be standing up on a piece of paper, you can pick it that way. It doesn't really matter for this project. You can choose whichever one you want. After you do that, you simply press create. All right, now we have our canvas here. It's a nice blank white canvas. The main things for you to know are up here at the very top left of the screen, you're going to see what looks like a cross. This is the move tool. This is a very important thing for us to use. If you click on that, you'll see up here on the top, you'll see these two options, auto select and show transform controls. Go ahead and turn auto select on, and show transform controls. You should also click that. Now we're ready to start moving stuff over from our document. So we've talked about how to set up our Photoshop document, our empty canvas here. Now let's talk about transferring images. So when it comes to transferring images, all you got to do is you got to go back into the internet. I have this image right here. I'm going to right click on that image, and I'm going to go to copy image. Now I'm going to go back into Photoshop, and I'm just going to press Control V. And there my image has been put down. There it is. Perfect. You're going to notice that it looks like my image didn't come through the way I wanted. Let me try Control V one more time. So I go over here, I right click on this image. Whoops, sorry about that. Right click on the image, go to copy image, go into Photoshop and simply press Control V, and it should paste that image in there. So here we have it. You can resize the image if you have the move tool selected here. You should be able to move that image around, and you can also resize it. If you resize the image, that is by clicking on the little square down here on the corner here, you can resize that image to be bigger or smaller. There we go. So let me start from new here just so you can see how this will look if it's all brand new. So I've got just a white canvas. There we go. Now what I can do is I can simply go back into find that image. I'm going to copy that image, go into Photoshop, press Control V to paste it in there. And here you can see I can move it around. I can scale it. I can move it from place to place. Also, if you hold your cursor just a little bit outside of where that cursor or where that box is, then this is how you can resize or rotate your image. So you can make this bigger or smaller, and if you hold the mouse just a little bit outside of where that corner is, you'll see that your mouse becomes this little other arrow. It becomes kind of like a right-hand turn arrow here. And if you click and drag that, then it will actually rotate your image. So we can see here I can rotate this all around. Perfect. All right, one of your images must be rotated to get full credit on this project, just so I can see that you know how to rotate things. So here we go. I've got one of my images. When you have it where you want it and as large as you want it, you just double click on the image, or you press this little check mark that's up here. And that will say that, okay, computer, I have got it right where I want it to be. And then it will let you do something else. So now I'm going to go back into searching for something. I'm going to click on a different image, right click on it, go to copy image. I'm going to go back into Photoshop and press Control V, and then that image should appear. If it doesn't appear, it's because you still are resizing something. Like right here, I was just still resizing this image right here. So if I press Control V now, it should show up. So there we go. You'll see that the images line up on top of each other. Right here, I've got this layer on top of this one. And thus, you see this white square that is appearing over the top of it. That's okay. I'm going to show you how to remove that later on in a future lesson. But for now, all you got to know is down here on the Layers panel, this is like each one of your layers that are laying on top of each other. Like they're pieces of paper that are lined up. This is the one on the bottom. This is the one in the middle. And this is the one that's on top of everything else. So the thing that seems like it's closest to the viewer is going to be the top layer. And the thing that is farthest away from the viewer is going to be on the bottom layer. You can think of this like you're stacking pieces of paper. Now, if you want, you can rearrange the orders of these. So if I click this layer 3 and I dragged it down below layer 2, you're going to see that now layer 2, this little head right here, is on top of this layer. So you can reorder which order they lay on top of each other just by dragging over here in the Layers panel. All right, so that's how you resize and move stuff. You want to have 10 different images that are here on your collage, but we also have to add some text. So let's talk about how to add text. Adding text is pretty easy. To add text, all you have to do is use the text tool, which is over here on the left-hand side. It's this giant capital T. You can also press the T key on your computer, on your keyboard, and that will also switch to the move or the text tool. If you want to use the move tool, you press a V on the keyboard. I know it's a little confusing. Why isn't it M? Well, it's not M because M is for the marquee tool, which is this rectangle right here, or the one right underneath it. So just remember, if you want to use the move tool, you press V. If you want to use the text tool, you press T. Now, when I press T, my cursor is going to look a little different. And you'll notice up on the top here, you can change what your font is. In this window right here, this drop-down menu up on the very top, if I click on this Mongolian Beatty font right here, it will show me all the different fonts that I could use. I can choose any one of these. I could also type something in, like if I have a favorite font, I can just type in the letters here, and it'll show me everything that starts with those letters. So there we go. I've got a font. You can pick the size of your font right here. It doesn't really matter what size it is because I'm going to show you how to resize it later. Same way that we do with the layers here. And lastly, up here in the very top where this little box is, you can choose to have the color. So if I click on this box right here, it will allow me to choose the color that my text will be. Now, when it comes to picking colors in Photoshop, there's a very specific way to do it. You've got this rainbow here. You get to pick which color out of the rainbow that you want to use. You can choose the color over here first. After that, you choose what tone of that color do you want. Do you want it to be really bright? Do you want it to be dark? Do you want it to be blended with gray to be a little less saturated? Basically, you can choose the exact tone of your color right here. I'm going to pick this one right here. Perfect. After you've chosen your color, you press OK, and you'll notice that it shows that color up here. You can also pick your color in this little box up here. So it's the same kind of format. You choose what color you want, and then what type of shade of that color do you want. So I picked the color here. Now, if I click in here, you'll see that a kind of placeholder text appears here. You don't have to select anything. You can just type in what you want. I'll type in Invader Zim. There we go. And now, once you're done with typing, you can click on this little check mark up here, and that will finalize your typing. And I can now change back to my Move tool, so I can press the V key, or I can simply click on this little cross right here. And now, if I click and move, you'll notice that I can click and move that text around now. You can actually resize it, just as you did with the images. And you can also rotate this the same way. So you just want to find 10 images, and you want to put them down onto the canvas here. You don't have to rename any layers or anything. You just need to have a text layer on top of all the other layers. So I want to make sure that this is on top of my other images here. You would want 10 other images that are just kind of laying about on this canvas, and then you are ready to save it. So let's talk about how you can save your images. So saving, when it comes to saving, you just go up to File up here in the top left, and then go down to Save As. You're going to save as 2 different documents. You're going to save as a Photoshop document and as a PSD. I would suggest that you save them in your Documents folder or your Pictures folder. Documents is probably good. You should create a folder for this class. So if you haven't done that yet, you can right-click in here and go to New, and then Folder, and you could just name it something like Computer Literacy. There we go. And now if you go into that folder, if I can find it here, there it is. Now I can save my collage in here. I'm going to call it PS01 Digital Collage. You can change what it's called right here where it says File Name. And then down here you can change the type. So the type that we're going to use is the PSD, the regular Photoshop document. And you'll notice that the regular Photoshop document allows you to save all of your layers. That means if we wanted to go back and we wanted to change the order of all these layers over here, we could do that if we have a Photoshop document. All right, you can leave this check mark checked. In fact, you can click on the Don't Show again right here and just press OK. And now it saves all of our layers in a Photoshop document. However, we can only see this document with Photoshop. We want to be able to view this on the internet or with just a regular photo viewer. So we're going to go up to File and Save As again. And we're going to save this one. Instead of it being a Photoshop, I'm going to call it exactly the same thing. I'm not going to change the file name, but I'm going to change where it says Save As Type. I'm going to pick JPEG, which is right here. Don't pick JPEG 2000 or JPEG Stereo. You just want regular old JPEG. Then you press Save. You'll notice that when you try to save it as a JPEG, you cannot save the layers. The JPEG is simply a flattened layer. You can think of it as all of these different little layers right here get flattened down into one layer. So you can't go back and change where the pictures are. You can't change what the text says. But it doesn't take up that much space, and people can view it with any computer. So I'm going to press Save. Now it gives me this option to where I can choose to have my quality lower. I can compress my JPEG down so it takes less space. You'll notice over here it says how much space it's going to take up. However, it will look worse. So we want to just bring this up to the maximum quality. That's fine for us. And then press OK. Usually you always want to do this unless you're posting to the web or something. If you're posting on a web banner, you might want to bring it down to lower than large. But we're just going to put it at maximum. Press OK. And now you have 2 copies of that file saved. If I go into my documents here and then to computer literacy, you'll see we have 2 documents that are the same name, but one of them is a PSD and one of them is a JPEG. All right, these are the 2 files that you're going to submit to Schoology to get credit on this document. All right, let's recap. We have learned how to find images on Google's image search. We learned how to create a Photoshop document, a letter size document. We learned how to transfer images from the internet search to our Photoshop document. We learned how to resize and rotate those images with the Move tool. Then we learned how to enter text into our canvas. And lastly, we learned how to save as both a JPEG that doesn't have layers and a PSD that does have layers, so that way we can submit it to Schoology. I hope everybody had fun with this project, and I am looking forward to see what you come up with. Have a great evening.